Elite Dangerous. The space sim game released nearly 9 years ago. Today, it has 3 separate versions. Kind of. All of them are the same, and yet they are separate. Late last year, developers Frontier finally sunsetted further the base game of Elite, renaming them as the Legacy modes, and you know what? They should go offline, and maybe even free to play. Back in 2012, in Kickstarter for Elite Dangerous, one of the bigger promises for the game were offline mode and the release of the source code once the game is dead, or rather when the company stops supporting it. Offline mode got cancelled, opting for always online game, even in solo mode where the player will never see another human player. This is also one of the reasons why Star Citizen fans in particular refer to the game as Elite Safe or Erectile Dysfunction, and I agree. This offline mode cancellation back in the day caused a big uproar for a good reason. However, it is impossible to make this background simulation work in tandem with the online counterparts. And as for the source code release, yeah, if Afterbirth could fly, even then I would not trust the Frontier to honor its promise here. Today though, Elite Dangerous has 3 main versions. Elite Dangerous Horizons 3.8, now renamed Legacy, both for console and PC. Elite Dangerous Horizons 4.0, now just renamed as Horizons, for PC only. And the latest bed-shitting harder than Amber Turd, Elite Dangerous Odyssey, which shares the same graphical upgrades as Horizons, but not with Legacy version. Also PC only. Now, despite Horizons and Odyssey having the same graphical and mechanical upgrades, all 3 versions simply cannot play together, which is the dumbest, least explained bullshit I've seen. Especially when you consider and remember that the previous DLC, the Horizons, when it was new, was capable of playing together with the base game at the time, in the common areas for both players, like the mid-space. But you know, I'm gonna overlook this literal glue-sniffing decision here. Let's focus on the Legacy version instead. See, developers have transferred a separate save file of the player character onto it, and will keep it separate from the new quote-unquote upgraded versions. Basically, developers are cutting Legacy version off bit by bit, and the only connective tissue that remains really is background simulation and power play, with some minor multiplayer travesties that no one really likes to use, like the multicrew. And this is both inevitable and a decent decision. Ultimately, keeping 3 or more different versions of the game is just not efficient. See, Frontier already laid out plans for Elite Dangerous base game to be upgraded to Odyssey's graphics and UI as well as minor mechanics, back when Odyssey was launched in 2020. However, for whatever reason, probably sheer incompetence, this transition could not be accomplished quickly, since it's already taken 2 years and it's still not done. So currently the game is in a semi-limbo state, where the old game versions still hang around like a festering appendix. So when I heard about this so-called Legacy mode renaming and furthering confusing mess that is Elite Dangerous game versions, a thought popped into my head. Why not just cut off Legacy mode completely? Right now, Legacy mode still requires online connection and still gets background simulation connection for markets, power play and other game features like that. But why? If this version cannot play with either of the 2 other upkept versions of the game, why does it still need to be always online? Because of consoles? But Frontier already announced complete development stop for those, just as they did for the quote-unquote Legacy mode on PC, since they are the same version. And not like there's a crossplay anyways either. Ultimately, what I'm insinuating, incentivizing, hinting at, is to make the fucking thing go offline fully! Now, of course, there are both pros and cons for this, but I feel the positives completely outweigh the negatives. Still, let's for the fun of it list the basics of offline mode. For negatives, it's just extra work to make powerplay, multicrew, BGS, mission board and other multiplayer functions offline capable. Unless, of course, there's a sort of a off switch. Additionally, the game becomes static, no updates or changes for the systems, unless, of course, again, extra work goes into place for hosting your own BGS or whatever. Now, as for the positives, well, obviously the first one is that the game is offline, like it was promised in Kickstarter. Offline mode also means that no anti-cheat or weird DRM, meaning better performance. And also not having anti-cheat or DRM means that there is the biggest positive coming in. The fan-made modding can begin. Though there's another negative that could come out of that, and I'm sure some corporate scumbag will also defer to this excuse. It increases the risk to the users. So please, if you ever hear somebody say that, please spit in their face, because this is a pure bullshit argument. Right, and in big swings, that's about the gist of the offline mode. Moddability hasn't been a thing for Elite Dangerous ever, yet the community has a lot of highly useful and immensely cool tools developed around the game already. Just think what could be possible if you didn't need to go around it and could directly integrate, or more, read the hidden data on top. I could just imagine modders taking the game and developing actual tools, hell, even servers for the game that would not only beat what the paid developers have done, but also, and most importantly, fix the incompetent and utterly disgusting gameplay bits that still to this day exist. Like removing engineering, or rebalancing missiles, or how about actually incorporating a galactic database for the game where you don't need to go to visit a populated system just to see the system mapping. And yes, this is an actual game design principle for which Elite Dangerous thinks is a good idea. Fucking Jesus! Hell, I would refresh my coding skills and make mods myself. I swear I will kill engineers! Ultimately, offline mode would allow for Rife testing bed for modders, or players who just want to play the game without an internet connection at all times. And all that without disturbing the quote-unquote live universe. However, knowing Frontier Development's MO, this is just a pipe dream that they're far too understaffed and most importantly too greedy to let ever happen. And considering them dropping the console support, where they could not properly sort themselves out to make Odyssey playable on old-gen consoles, mass incompetence is a factor too. Still, maybe somebody who gives a fuck is listening, so maybe they will take heed, which is why I'm voicing this idea. Additionally, if you go a step beyond just offline mode, maybe making legacy mode go free to play, or at the very least a base game. I know it's a lot to ask, but then again, the demo version for Elite Dangerous is already unrepresentative since 2015, so that would be great for drawing in masses. But I suppose we can dream. We can dream that one day I will kill engineering by shoving a spear through its ass. But until that day, all we have are multiple versions of the game where all of them are barely different, if at all, yet the players cannot see or play with each other between them. A lazy, half-assed fart of a divided game that still banks on microtransactions and whaling. Now I know this is mostly unrelated ending, but I mean I got to beat a dead horse somehow. Speaking of horse corpses, if you agree or just simply enjoy my mad ramblings, check out my Patreon and maybe toss a dead horse onto the pyre as well. But as for me, well, I'm off in search for more to beat.